So proceeding with the class of the day, with the class for today, let me proceed to editing our project so we can continue from where we stopped during the last class. So in the last class, we were able to create this in the last class we were able to create this our nav bar, and we got up to this extent in editing the hero section. So i- if you have any problem on your hero section or nav bar, you can indicate now. So be- okay, so that is to say you guys understood the project up to this extent, right? Am I right? Good. So in the last class, I missed a very important part of this hero section that I should have added. I missed it in the last class, and that is adding a statistics to this our hero section. A statistics that will be telling people like our progress so far on the platform. I wanted to add that statistics to this our hero section, but in the last class I totally forgot about that. So before we proceed to editing, to adding text to this image, we would first of all add that statistics session to this our hero section. And to do that, the first thing we have to do, if you can see this plus icon on your project, you can go ahead and click that plus icon. But if this plus icon is not on your project, click on these buttons, that is the empty spaces on this button row. Click on those empty spaces and click on enter. It will create a new paragraph for you. So, but if that button is not available, you can go ahead and click on this particular plus icon here. Sorry, I think I'm sharing the wrong screen, right? And no one told me. You guys, please, you guys should learn to speak up so I will know when I'm making an error or when I'm not displaying what I should display. This is where we stopped in our last class. And what I was saying is you can click on the empty spaces in this button row and click enter. It will create this new paragraph section for you. Or the second method, you could add this paragraph clicking on this plus icon here. When you click on it, you select paragraph, it will create this new block for you, this new paragraph block for you. So what we would be adding to this section is a statistics section. To create that, the first thing we have to do is first of all create a column. The column we'll be selecting is a 3 by 3. Should I? Yes. Jen, we added the buttons in our last class. Okay, but I think I will have to revisit that right now. So for these buttons, to add these buttons to your project, if oh, wait, sorry guys, I will delete these buttons. So we'll start our section today from this button section. So let me delete the buttons. So to add these buttons, let me also remove this block. After this write up, the next thing you have to do is click enter. When you click enter, you click on this plus icon. When you click enter, it will create this new block, this new block, this new block for you, new paragraph block. But we are not trying to add a write up. what you are trying to do, what you are trying to do in this our case is to add a button. So when you click on this plus icon, you look for buttons. If buttons is not displayed on your default blocks, you can go ahead and in this search bar type button, sorry, double T. As you can see, these buttons is here. I will click on these buttons, but then I need two buttons, not one. So add the second button, I click on this plus icon here. And to mind you, this plus icon in this button row is different from this plus icon here. This plus icon now, when I click it, it's going to show me this block option, that is to add another paragraph or another button. Anything I'm adding here is going to create a new line entirely and add maybe a paragraph or a button to this new line. But no, in our case, we are trying to add a button to this same row where we already have a button. So all we have to do is click on this plus icon, and as you can see, automatically we have a new button here. So we go ahead and add text to our buttons, and the first button we have here is explore city. This first one is explore city. I will remove yes, I need to make that line shorter. It appears to be too long. And then the second button in our case is going to be clean energy. This second button is going to be clean energy. But then this button now is filled. Both buttons are okay, they are both filled buttons. Filled buttons are buttons that the background has a color. But in our case, we want to make one of the buttons to be outlined. That is only the border, only the line outside the buttons will be displaying. We don't want to fill the background with any color. To do that, you click on this settings icon here, this icon to the top right of your screen, the button, like two buttons before the save, because we have settings, styles, and save. But what we need now is settings. Can you guys see the settings icon I'm talking about? Please I need a thumbs up. Good. You click on these settings, and when you click on this setting, now you can see under styles we have fill and we have outline. We want this second button to be outlined. Make sure you click on this second button and then select and then switch this tab to outline. As you can see, once I switch to outline, only the border lines are now visible. The background colors now disappears. But we are not just stopping at that. We also be changing this particular background color, because this is not the color we want to be working with. I need something like a dark green. I need something like a dark green background. And to get a dark green background, the first thing I'm going to do is still under these settings. As you can see, the styles for this particular button is fill. I will scroll down. We have typography. Maybe if I want to style the text, that is this explore the city within the button. If I want to style it, I will be working with typography, but that's not what we are trying to style here. In our case, we are trying to style the background. That is, change this background color to something like a dark greenish color. You go to this section under the background, you see color, gradients, dimensions, and the rest. Okay, after the background, that's where you get dimensions, but we want to just change the background color at this point in time. So we click on color. We click on color. It will display these options for us, where it will first display this platelet with checkers and background, meaning we have no color selected. And as you can see, it's also wrote it here, no color selected. We now go ahead and click on this checkers space, this place that is displaying kind of checkers design. We click on this place, it will display this color platelet for us. So you can go ahead and input the color hex code for what you want the color background, the background of the button to look like. But maybe I don't have a hex code. I want to like maybe choose a random colors from the available colors. Let me say green. As you can see, I clicked on, okay, it was by default on red. I click on this green section of the platelet bar. As you can see in green, I can drag it around to find the dark green color I'm looking for. Or better still, for those, how many of you know what a hex code is? That is a color code. How many of you know what, if someone says a hex code? Good, good. For those that are in Hillary's class, a hex code, for those that are in Hillary's class, you guys already know what a hex code is. But for those that are not in his class, a hex code is like the code for a particular color. In your, every color has its own code. For example, FFF, that is 3F, is for white. As you can see, as I type 3Fs here, that is the hex code for white. By default, the background color here changed to white. And for black, black can be 3 zeros. That is 3 zeros. That is for black hex code. And for the dark green color we'll be working with, the hex code is 313D24. You don't have to cram all these hex codes. You don't have to have them offered. To get this hex code, you can easily, maybe there is a website called, maybe you want to select a color from a particular image. There is a website called image2color.com. When you visit that website, you can upload an image to that website and then select any part of that image that you want to pick out the color from, and then it will display for you the hex code for that particular image. So and for the color section, we also have RGB, which is like mixing different colors. But that one is, maybe you really know what you are doing with colors. That is where you go to RGB and HSL. But by default, you should be working with hex code. It's easier to work with hex code than any of those other color selection types. So this is the color we want to be working with for the background of this particular button, which is the color code for this color is 313D24, which is dark green. So once we've done that, we come back, we close that section. Just click on any empty space. As you can see, it's closed that section. And then on our project here, you can see the background color is for this particular button is now dark green. So that is how we added this color to this section of our project. Jane, do you understand? Good. So I believe there is no other question on this particular section, right? All of you understood this, the explanation I did for this button. Am I right? Please, your reactions. Okay, good. So to add our statistics section, the first thing we are going to be doing is to this our column, because when we are working on this hero, we added a two column block. To this our column, that is this our left column, let's add another block. And then to this new block is going to be a 3-column block. That is what you are, when we click on this block, what you are searching for is columns. If columns, for me by default, columns is already displayed here. But if when you click on this block, oh, before these columns, I want to add a very important spacer. But this time around, we are not adding spacer. We will be going with a line that is a long, should I say, yes, a long line that will demarcate our other sections from the start section we'll be working with. So on this your search bar, as you can see on my default blocks, there is no line here. I will type in line. So as you can see, when I type line in the search bar, it displays this separator for me. This separator is what I want to work with, this particular separator. So either you search for line or you go ahead and search for separator. You type separator, it will display this particular line for you. When I click it, as you can see, it's displaying a long line between the rest of my section and the new section I want to work on right now. So what you are going to be doing next is click enter again, or that or block, sorry, click enter or that plus icon, but I'm clicking enter because it's easier that way. You can just click enter on your keyboard and it will create a new block input for you. And this time around, when I click on this plus icon, I will search for columns. Columns. I will search for columns. That is, if columns is not displayed on your default blocks, you search for columns. When I click on columns, it will display these options for me. 100% columns, that is a column that everything, like I can just add anything once, or 50-50 column, that is a 2 by 2 columns side by side, equal halves column. And I also explained this 33 by 66 column, which is what this entire column is. That is this our nav bar. That is entirely what this column is, a 33 by 66 column nav bar. And then we have 66 by 33. That is when the column on the left is bigger than the column on the right. But currently, as you can see, the column on the right is bigger than the column on the left on this our project. But then what you are looking for is not any of these top columns. And also we have this 25, 50, 25. That is when the column in the center is larger than the column on the right and the column on the left. But what you are looking for is this 33, 33, 33 column. That is 3 columns of equal width. All the widths of the columns are the same size. That is what we'll be looking for our stats text, for our statistics section. So when we click on this 33, 33, 33 column, as you can see, 3 columns were created, 2 and 3. These are the columns that was created. So what we are going to do is within each column, we are going to create a row. With these columns now, show you guys how a row works, because within each column here, we are going to add a row. The first one is when we click on this plus icon in the first column, we type in row, ROW, sorry. You click on this one, as you can see, row, table, site, title, and the rest. But row is what we'll be working with. When you click on row, so when you click on row, you go ahead and click on this plus icon and select heading. Excuse me. Good. Okay. I wanted to confirm something first. So row. So as you can see, it created a row for us. So we click on this plus icon and select heading. In our heading, I will reduce this heading to a H5 heading. That is a smaller heading, because all we have to type in this heading is just a number, and in this first case, the number happens to be 7. The number here is 7. 7. And then in the second part of that row, we are going to be adding a paragraph. And in this paragraph, we are just going to be adding like a top right. We are just going to be adding a top right top and a bottom right top. So to do that, let me copy the right tops for those. So sorry, I'm just copying the right tops. We will get, let's, before continue this work, before continuing on this particular project, I want to increase the column on the left to be a bit wider to contain the text we are going to be adding. I'm going to make this image like slimmer. To do that, you can click on any part of your left column. If it selects a text, no problem, but if you select the entire column, still good. But in our case, we selected a text. So in our case, we now click on this particular icon, this icon that the overview is select parent block, um and then column. Select parent block, column. We click on this particular icon here, and then by that we've selected the entire column. And then when you now go to this our settings sidebar, you notice that, as you can see, the sidebar is 33.33. That is the width of our sidebar. We are going to increase that. You can just select, let me say we are going to be making this, the width of this sidebar 65. That is, as you can see, this the code that by default, when we make this sidebar 65, by default the left sidebar will become bigger than the right sidebar. So that is what we just did. By default, it will switch the sizes of the sidebar, but I don't think this sidebar will be enough, but let's work with it for now. So adding the second statistics, which in our project it's going to be 20, the second is going to be 20 plus simple action, 20 plus simple actions you can take. That is over 20 simple actions you can take. The first thing we are going to do, like we did with the first column, is also select row. If row is not displayed here, you can go ahead and search for row. Click on row, that is ROW. Click on row, and in the first part of the row, you go ahead and add your heading. In our case, 20, and then plus 20 plus, we drop it down to H5, which is second to the least heading size. And then on this other section, we are going to add a paragraph. When you click on the plus icon, select paragraph, and then on a paragraph, we are going to simple actions you can take. Don't worry about how it's currently looking. We'll get around to editing the display. And then finally, on the third column, we also add a row as usual. Row heading is, we are not working with H2 heading, so we'll drop the heading to, let me say, H5 as well. One, then add paragraph. So I already told you guys the PDF for this, for the text, are already on your dashboard. You can check the resources on your dashboard. Lotan already uploaded them on your dashboard. So the text for this particular project, you can just copy them on your dashboard. That is if you are working verbatim with what I'm doing, or you can easily choose your own text on your own. Add your own, the any text you want for your project. You can easily add them for yourself. You don't have to copy verbatim what I'm doing, but these texts are already on your dashboard. So one shared planet to protect, that is, we have to protect our planet. So the next thing we have to do, we have so much space between each column here. We want to close down to add a paragraph. When you click on that plus icon, you will see on the blocks it will display. By default, the first one there should be paragraph. Or yes, by default, the first one there should be paragraph. That is to say, let me try something else. So let's say I have this column here and I click on this plus icon. As you can see, the first thing on this displayed section here is paragraph. But if paragraph is not displayed for me here, I can go ahead and search paragraph and it will display. Do you understand? Do you understand? The person asking me about paragraph. Good. Good. So I need to close the spaces between these columns so that it can, like, it will be properly displayed. So to close the column here, what I'm going to do is, let me first select, okay, let me first highlight this section. So I will highlight this section. In our last project, or there is a better way, when you click on any of the columns, then you click on, you just navigate your mouse to the top of to this to the displayed options. This first one is showing something like select parent block. You click on select parent block, it will select the entire block. That is this one shared planet to protect. But that is this the parent block is not what we are working with. We not is not the only thing is not the only part margin we want to add now. So you still go ahead and select and click on that particular place again on the options. Select parent block. In this time is displaying select parent block column. You click on it. As you can see, by default it selected the entire column. And then on this section you can see that it will display, okay, columns, 3 columns. That is 3 columns you are working with. But you now navigate to this section of these settings. That is this section that have, should I call it a moon, one dark side and one light side. You click on that section. That is if you are not already on the section of that, on that section of your sentence, you click on that particular. Please, if you can see the section I'm talking about, please leave a thumbs up. Good. You go ahead and click on that particular section and it will display all these settings for you. But in our case, we are looking for block spacing. Block spacing is what we are looking for, and the block spacing we are looking for is not top bottom block spacing. We are looking for left and right block spacing. That is the space between the left block and the right block. And to set that, as you can see, we have 2 blocks here. The first one top and bottom, the second one left and right. But if you want to maybe only add spacing to the right section of the block, you click on this filter icon here. When you click on it, okay, when you click on this filter button here, it is maybe you have a particular space you want to work with. Okay, that's not what I thought it was, but that is maybe you want to, you have a particular spacing you want to work with, be it 10, 20, etc. That is when you click on this particular filter button. But then we don't want to have any spacing between blocks here. So all I have to, by default, it's added spacing. What I want to do is close that space. All I have to do is just drag this up a bit and close it down. Once I do that, as you can see, it closed the spacing entirely. But that's not all I'm going to do here. I will increase it a bit. Why I'm increasing it a bit? Why I'll be increasing it? As you can see, this one is almost inside this particular row. But that is wrong. That's not just all I want to do, or what I want it to look like. So that's why I will be adding the spacing. Sorry, let me select that column again. So what I will now do is increase that under block spacing, left and right column spacing. I will increase it a bit. So as you can see, that will add space. The less I will be working with this space. Why it's currently like this is because this settings bar is currently open. When I close this settings bar, our page will appear something like this. That is, we've successfully added this statistics session to our navbar. 7 city zones to explore, 20 plus simple actions to take, and one shared planet to protect. But that's not all we want to do on our navbar. Before we proceed to editing before we start working on the settings, the entire settings of this hero section, we are going to add text to this image. That is, as you can see, this image is just a simple text image, but I want to add two buttons to this particular image. One, the first button should be around here, and the second button is going to be somewhere near the bottom of this image. Any questions so far? Any questions so far, please? If you understand, leave a thumbs up. Good, good. I believe I have more than 3 persons in this class. Okay, good. Let's proceed. So, space, did you try, sorry, Claire, did you try adding the spacing, the start spacing, and it's not on a straight line? Claire, did you try adding the starts and it's not on a straight line? Are you using mobile phone or laptop? Are you on mobile or laptop? Okay. Can you share your screen with the class? Let me see what you've done so far. You are using a different device. Okay, don't worry. Let me do a quick recap on that section. So to add this start section, The first thing we did was to first of all create a column, which is the major but the major should I say, that is the major the major thing we did here. Create a column. That is, you click this plus button. Claire, did you create the 3 by 3 column I told you guys about? Okay, good. So she created the 3 by 3 column. But then under this column, you don't just go ahead and select heading or paragraph. The first thing you have to do under each heading, that is also in each column, is first of all, when you click on this plus icon, you search for, when you click on this plus icon, you search for row. That is, if by default row is not displayed for you, you search for row. Okay, that is to adjust the spacing between each column. Is that right? Clear, am I right? Adjust the spacing between each column to reduce it so it will properly balance, right? Good. Okay. I believe I know. So let me just delete this. So to adjust this column, after we created these rows, after we created this column and rows, as you noticed, it shrank, like it was kind of rough being displayed. So the first thing we did was select the entire block, that is the entire 3 by 3 column. And to do that, I first click on a text. By default, let me say, if you click on this text, you click on this, you navigate to this particular icon, it will display select parent block row. When I click on it, it will select this particular row, that is the one shared planet to protect. I will select that. Why I'm selecting the row is because I'm not trying to work on only one particular column. I'm trying to work on the entire column. So the next thing this will display is select parent block column. When I click on it, it will select the particular column where this row is in. So when I click it again, as you can see, it's as if it's still in the same row. But this, if what you notice is that it's selecting the entire column itself. That is 1, 2, 3. It's selecting the third column itself. But that's not all. We now go ahead and click it again. It is select the parent block columns. In that case, when I click on this place again, it will select 1, 2, 3 columns. That is the 3 columns we created. This, but that's not all we have to do. We proceed to this settings section. That is this place we have our save button. The okay, should I call it second, the second button, the second button on that particular save, the on the row, on the column where we have our save button, the second button there, which is like a door button. If you navigate to it, it's going to display settings. Claire, can you see this button I'm talking about? Good. When you click on that particular button, it will display this option for you. But you are not working with settings. This gear icon is not where you want to be. Where you want to be is on this moon icon. Under this moon, we have dark and light. That is half moon, dark and light. So that is the section you want to be in. So you got that is, if you navigate to that section, it's going to show you styles. So you now click on that styles. On that styles, you scroll down. You now go ahead and scroll down to this block spacing. Claire, please, are you following? So this section after, okay, good. So this section after the margin where it wrote block spacing, under block spacing, you have two kind of spacing there. The first one is top and bottom spacing. That is to add space within that same block. Maybe let me say we are working with a stack column instead of instead of a side by side column, we are working with a stacked column. That is when an object is on top of the next one. When I increase this part, the first one here, it will increase the space between the first column, between the top column and the bottom column. It will increase the space between those columns. But then that's not the columns we are working with, because we are working with the columns that is side by side here. So either if you want, in our case, you would like to either you click on 0, that is by default it's already here, but then the styling is not there. You can click on this, on the icon itself. So but then when you just click on the current position of that particular spacing, it will display this particular start session will be something like, as you can see, is not properly spaced as I want it to be, because this one is already appearing as if it's inside this particular column. It's like it's appearing as if it's another row within this 20 plus simple action you can take. I want to add space between each column, that is a little space. So this one will move away gradual a bit from this particular column. To do that, I will have to increase this block spacing. That is the side left and right block spacing, the side by side block spacing. I will have to increase it a bit. And once I do that, as you can see, there is now space between each column. As currently it's appearing as if this 20 plus is messy and all that, but it's not really messy because the width of my screen is a bit small due to this styling block is open, this styling section is open. When I close this section now, after increasing the space, giving it a bit more width, a bit, after increasing it a bit, as you can see, once I close that section, the space it will properly display how I want it to display. So like there is now space between simple actions you can take and this one shared planet to protect. You can decrease or increase the space from the place I just showed you now. Do you understand, Claire? Good. So proceeding with our next action on this our hero, the next thing. Oluwafikayomi, are you on a mobile phone or a laptop or a tablet, laptop? So can you share your screen so I will see what your paragraph looks like? You will be able to share your screen once I permit you, right? You are using another device. Okay. Or can you see the plus icon there? If it's just long, at the end of that paragraph, no matter how long it is, can you see that plus icon there? At the end of that, okay, go ahead and click on that plus icon. It will display. Once you can see that plus icon, you can click on it. It will display the default columns for you. From that default columns, you can go ahead and select columns or row based on what you are working with. It's always there. It's that easy to do. Do you understand? Good. You can search for it. Just type columns and it will bring the columns to the top for you. So the next thing we want to be doing is to add, I want to add two buttons to this our image, here. But to do that, okay, before I start styling the image, let's first add two text buttons to this image. Just two dormant buttons that will display the goal we'll be working with for this platform. To do that, on this, when you click on this image column on the image itself, when you click on the image, it will display all these options for you. These options can be on the top or at the bottom, like it's being displayed for me. It can be here or here, but the particular option you are looking for is this option that is like a square with an A within it. When you navigate to it, it's going to show um add text to image. It's going to display something like add text to image. So hope you can you guys see the icon I'm talking about, please? Thumbs up if you can see the icon I'm talking about. Good. When you click on this particular icon, so as you can see, by default it added an overlay. An overlay is like a screen, a thin screen that would demarcate the image and the text. But in our project, I don't particularly need this overlay. So the first thing I'm going to do before I start working on the text or the buttons I want to add is to first of all remove this particular overlay. To do that, I will go to these settings again. These settings we've been working on. I believe we all know how to open these particular settings. I will proceed to this settings icon, click on it. So scroll down to the section, to overlay section. I will click on okay. You click on the image. So this half moon, so this moon that I described earlier, half dark, half light. When you click on it, when you navigate to it, it will show styles. When you click on it, it will display the settings for you. This is the section we are navigating to. That is overlay section. As you can see, under that section we have overlay opacity. That is how should I say how dark the overlay is meant to be. The more you increase this overlay, the darker the screen between the image and the text appears. But the more you reduce it, the lighter the screen appears. But for my case, I'm going to reduce it to 0. I don't need it entirely. I don't need it at all. So I'm going to be reducing it to 0. And then I'll now click on our image again. I'll go ahead and close this section. Our image again. On this default section, I'm going to just add a spacer here. I will add the spacer and just leave it there. You guys remember what a spacer is, right? The work of a spacer in a section. You guys remember this, right? Good. So I'll go ahead and search for spacer. If spacer is not displayed, for me it's not displayed, so I will just go ahead and search for it, drop it down. Why I'm using this spacer is because I don't want the buttons I want to add now to be like to appear high on this image. I need it somewhere near the footer. So now I've done this, I will now go ahead and click enter. I will now go ahead and click enter, and it will create this new block section for me. In this new block, I'm going to click this plus icon and go ahead and search for button. Okay, buttons is already here by default for me. If it's not there for you, go ahead and search for buttons. It will add this default button for you. We will need another buttons. So I will just go ahead and click enter and type again buttons. Before we start adding the text to the buttons, I want to add all our buttons first. I will now go ahead and either you search buttons, but if buttons is already there for you, just go ahead and click it. But these buttons, I don't want this particular button to be under the button on the top. I want one button on the left, the other button on the right. To do that, while I'm in this second button, I'm going to click on this change item justification icon. That is this icon that is like a slash and a dash attached to it. The icon that appears something like this, like a substitution icon. You now go ahead and click on that particular icon, and then I'm going to select justify item right, because I want that particular button on the right while the other button is on the left. I will now go ahead and select justify item right. So now that you can see one button on the right on just, and then directly below it we have another button on the left. So adding text, let's go ahead and add the text we want for this button. The first text there is Smarter Journeys. The first button is going to appear as Smarter Journeys. Smarter Journeys. There is an icon here like a bicycle icon, and this second button is going to be Greener Communities. And before the Greener Communities text, there is a leaf. There, okay, the leaf emoji, or should I say icon, is visible here. So, but this is not how we are going to leave this button. We need these buttons to be properly displayed, and the first thing we have to do is open up this settings tab. Please, are you guys following? Thumbs up if you are following, please. Good. Cheese, are you following? Good. The first thing we are going to do is to change the background on this particular button. And to do that, we select this settings icon again. It will open the settings sidebar. This time we are leaving it at field because both the buttons will be at field, but because we are going to be changing the background colors. So first thing we have to do is change the typography, that is the text on the buttons. I'm going to change them to dark text. I'll be changing the text on the buttons to black or dark text, as you can, anything you want to call it, so it will be properly displayed on the light background we want to put it on. So under typography, you can click on color. So I'll be going for green. I'm just selecting the color from this platelet. I'll go for green and then drop the green down to this dark green. So, well, it will appear as black, but it's kind of dark green. As you can see, the text entirely disappeared, but nothing to worry about. We'll come around to editing the button. We also have to do the same thing to this particular button. We go ahead and click on this other button. Under typography, we also go ahead and select green and drop the color to green. As you can see, due to we are working with a light background, both text are no longer visible on our buttons, but the text are still there. Both texts are still there. So the next thing we are going to do is to change the background colors here. So I will scroll down under background. As you can see, we have color and gradient. The gradient of, okay, we'll get around to gradients much later in the project, but first let's work with color. To change the background color here, just directly on that typography, there is another section called background. You click on color, then under green, I'm still going with green theme. So I will just gradually drop the color from this pure white to something like light green. Let me say something around here. So as you can see, the button, the background button, the background color of the button appears to be light green. So I will do the same thing to this other button. You just click on the button, scroll down to colors, and then select green, and then I'll do similar things, similar changes to these particular buttons. But that's not all. These buttons are too large for what I want them to look like, and the edges are too sharp. I need buttons that is kind of round. The edges are kind of round, like the edges will appear more of a semicircle than a rectangle. So to do that, the edges should be more of a semicircle than a sharp edge. So to do that, I'll click on the button I want to work on, which is this first button. Scroll down to these dimensions. Dimensions is not what I'm working on. So directly on, okay, if I want to increase the width of any of these circles, that is the how large, how long the buttons are. This is where I'm working with, but I will get around that in a minute. But first of all, the first thing I have to do is to reduce the radius, is to drop it, is to increase the radius. The higher the radius, the more curvy the edges of each button appear. Okay, Ikechukwu, I'm coming to you. So I will increase the radius. So as you can see, the more I increase the radius, the more round, the should I say, the rounder the edges. But that's not all I want to be working on. I will also like to work on the. I will also want to work on the height of the. Sorry. I will also want to work on the height. So let me, as you can see, as I'm increasing this width, also the width of the circle is increasing. As I'm reducing it, it's also dropping. But also I want to increase the height of the button. To do that, under this padding, if you drop it to 0, which is currently at, if you drop it to 0, the height of the button will increase. But the more I increase it, the longer or the taller the button will appear. So I'm dropping it to that 0. I want the buttons to be slim. So Ikechukwu, are you making use of a laptop or a mobile phone? Okay. Ikechukwu, when you click on the image column, do you see an option that is like a square with an A inside it? Kind of a square with A inside it. When you click on it, it will add the options for you to add text to the image. Then you add your text. Okay, you know what is going to happen. I'm going to add another image to this project, just a random image to guide you through that. When to guide you, because I understand that you can, if I guide you through it, you might be able to add text and all that, but I need you to first know how to add an a spacer before the other buttons. So to do that, just try and follow what I'm going to do next now. So for those that find it hard to add a text to an image, let's do that here. I want to show you guys what to do. Okay, so let me add an image here. Search for image. select image. So as you can see, I just added this image now. To add a text or a button, anything over an image, when you click on the image, it will display these options for you. The options can be at the top where mine is currently at, or at the bottom, that is somewhere around here, somewhere around the bottom of that particular image. So when you click on this option here, it will add an overlay over the image. That is kind of, it will make the image appear a bit darker. You get quite understanding? We are able to get to this part of the project. Just you can leave a thumbs up. Don't worry. Okay. It will add this kind of dark background for you. The first thing we did, okay, before we remove that background, I want to show you guys what we did before removing the dark background in this section, so you guys should be able to follow it more. So to do that, the first thing you have to do in this the fourth section is created for you. Click on this plus icon and search for spacer. When you find this particular spacer here, click on it and then increase the height of this spacer. Why we are increasing the height of this spacer is because the buttons we want to add would be closer to the footer. That is one around here and the second button around here. And to do that, that's why we are increasing the height of this spacer, to reduce the space where the buttons will be at. So after increasing it, you go ahead and click enter. Go ahead and click enter. Once you click enter, it will create this option, type or choose a block. To create this option for you. Then with this plus icon, get you following, it will create this. Please thumbs up. If I ask you if you are following, leave a thumbs up. Good. If you are not following, just leave a thumbs down. If you are following, thumbs up. So I we are good, right? Good. So what you now have to do is click on this plus icon here. If buttons, for me, as you can see by default, buttons is displayed here for me. If buttons is not on your display, go ahead and search for buttons. Just type buttons, buttons. As you can see, this is buttons. When I click on it, okay, you could type your question. Can you share your screen? You are making use of a laptop, right? So let me give you permission to share your screen. I believe it's easier to guide you that way. So share your project and unmute your mic. Unmute your mic and share your project. Everyone else, is there any other person having an issue with this particular section of the project? Okay, good. You're already here. So scroll up a bit so I'll see what you're doing, Ikechukwu. Just scroll up a bit on your project. So click on that spacer, that in on the center. Yes, click there. Yes, click there and enter. Then click enter on your keyboard. Click on that image. Enter. Good. Then click on that plus icon. Search for buttons. Good. Click on button there. Good. So Ikech, could you understand now? I think you stopped sharing your screen. I don't know why. But do you understand what you are doing now? Okay, I think your network malfunctioned. Okay, Kamsi, I will get to you in a minute. Just in a few seconds, just wait. Ikechukwu, I believe you followed through on how to change the background of the buttons and the rest, right? Good. So, and now you can add the buttons like I did. That is the second button on the right. Just click enter. If you click on that add, it will just add another button for you. So go ahead and delete that button. Good. Just click enter from there. Click enter. Good. Add another button. So click on that. Yes, you missed it. On the options, navigate to that button with a straight line and a dash attached to it. No, before that, before the one before that. Yes, click on that. Look for justify item, right? Good. Click on that. That is, so you know how to, you remember how we change the background color, right? So while I will mute you now, so you can keep working on that. Let me attend to Kamsi. Kamsi, are you making use of a laptop or a mobile phone? Kamsi Ochukwu. Laptop. Can you share your screen? Your project. Let me see what you're working on. Let me guide you. You are free to unmute yourself and ask your question because you haven't asked your question yet. You can unmute your mic and ask your question. Share your screen. Let me see your image. Can you please share your screen? You can now share your screen. Let me see your image and what's wrong with it. You've not added the image yet. Click on that image section. I want to check something. On the column, on your right column, try and click on your right column. No, not there. Just close that. Close that. On your right column, scroll up first. Scroll up. Scroll up. I want to see. Okay. Go back up. Okay, good. Scroll on your project. Come see. There was a problem earlier on your project where you selected row. You turned your entire project into a row instead of a stacked project. When we were working on the statistics section, you made a mistake. So, but first of all, add your image. Scroll down to the nav section. Before I will just add your image first because it seems you've not added your image yet. Click on your right column. No, not from there. Click on your right column first. You know what? Click on the settings icon. That settings icon before the save button. Click on it. No, not there. I think you clicked the wrong listen. On the settings, not the settings icon, the button before the save button. Yes, click there. Just scroll up. I want to check what you have here. Navigate to block. You are currently on template part. Navigate to blocks. Come see. You know what is going to happen, eh? Once it's 6:30, just one okay, once it's 6:35. Sorry, I said once it's 6:05, that is 25 minutes to the end of the class. Try and raise your hand because I have to guide you through doing a lot on this your project. Do you understand? Thumbs up if you understand, Kamsi. Good, good. I have to guide you through a lot on your project. You missed some steps from the you were in our last class, right? Okay, don't worry. I will guide you like 25 minutes to the end of the class. Just remind me. You can stop sharing your screen now. Just remind me 25 minutes to the end of the class. I'll tell you what to do on your project. So, any other if you have any question or any problem so far, please indicate. Okay, just try and follow through. I'm going to make the second button rounded as well. So try as much as possible to follow through. Jane, do you understand? Thumbs up, please. Good. So as you can see, what we did here on this other button is we made it rounded and also reduced the height of the button. And to do that here as well, the first thing we are going to do is, okay, if this sidebar is not already opened on your project, go ahead and open it. That is this setting sidebar. Go ahead and open it. Click on this settings icon here, and then you scroll down to reduce the height of the button. The first thing we want to work is padding. As you can see under this padding, we have top and bottom, and we have left and right. So the first thing we are working with, that is to reduce the height. We are going to, by default, you can see under settings, the padding is already in 0, but this 0 here is not currently affecting the settings because this is display CSS settings in WordPress. So the first thing we ought to do is just to reduce the height. You can just click on the current position to increase the height. Maybe you feel that the current height is too short, you want to increase it a bit, you can drag this padding top and bottom up. You can drag it up to increase the height or drop it to reduce it. But we are working with a very short button. We don't want the button to be even slightly bigger than this for this section. So to make it a bit round, Jen, did you follow up to this extent? Good. To make it appear a bit round, like a semicircle, in the left and right um, sides of the button, to make the side lines rounder, we scroll down on these settings. We scroll down to this under this border and shadow. What we are looking for is this reduce option. Under this reduce option, as you can see, it's displaying sort of a four-sided sorry, it's just selecting the four sides of a square. So what you are going to do is to increase this line here. The higher you go, the rounder the button appears. That is, from 50, you already have from 50 px, you already have almost a perfect curve. But I'm going to go ahead and increase it to the highest. So as you can see, our buttons appear more round. But also, as you can see, when you click on this icon here, the icon to the right of the radius, you will be able, maybe like, I just let me first, if I you see it better with, let me make it a bit taller and then reduce this to a square. Maybe maybe I want to make this button maybe top right. I want the top right side of this particular button to be round, but other sides to still be sharp edges. So to do that, I will click on this icon here. This, when you navigate to the icon, it will show on link Reddit. Yes, red eye, sorry. On link red eye. When I click on it, as you can see, it will now unlink all the radius. Each should I say, each side of this particular rectangle will be on its own. We can make, with this section, we can make each side round, and then other sides will still be sharp edges. Let me use the top right, that is the top right angle, for example. So to do that, okay, the top right is the second angle here. I will go ahead and increase it. So as you can see here, when I did that, it dropped the angle there to be almost a semicircle. That is like half of a semicircle. Let me do the same settings to the bottom of that. That is to the um right, to the bottom right angle. Let me also increase it as well. So as you can see, the right part of this our rectangle is a perfect semicircle, while the right side is still a straight line. But I will drop all that back to zero, drop the height of our button, and then unlink, and then link the sides again and increase everything to the highest. And there we have it, our perfect rounded edge button. Jane, do you understand? Good. Any questions? Any questions? Good. So proceeding, the next thing we have to do is, as you can see, there is a space between this our right column and our left column, but then I don't want that space there. I want both our right column and our left column to be a unified column. That is, the two columns should be touching each other. I don't want any space between the two columns. And to do that, the next thing I'm going to do is, let me say I click on an empty space in this image, and then it will display all these options for me. The option I'm currently looking for is I think is this one here. When you navigate to it, it should show something like select parent block columns. When I click on it, it selected the entire column here. When you navigate to it again, okay, as you can see, select parent block column. Okay, it says it selected the entire image column. So I'll go ahead and click it again to select the entire hero column. So as you can see, the blue line around this column is showing that the entire hero column is selected. I will now go ahead and open this our settings again. Settings. Okay, by default it will be in this gear section of the settings. Then I will navigate to the moon section and then scroll down. I'm looking for block spacing. That is the spacing between each block. That is between these two column blocks. I'm looking for the spacing between them. So under this block spacing, like I told you guys earlier, if this was a stacked block, I will go with this one. That is, I want to reduce the height, the space between between the top and the bottom stack. I will go ahead with this first one. I will now, when I drop it, it will reduce the space here. But I'm working with the sides, in this case, left and right. That is our left column. Okay, Jen, don't worry. Our left column and our right column. So I will now go ahead and click on this. As you can see, if I increase the spaces will increase, but once I drop it to 0, there is no longer space between our columns. It closed the spaces between our columns. Jane, if by default you deleted your image, you can go ahead and click Ctrl Z on your keyboard. But if you are making use of a mobile phone, for those making use of a mobile phone, maybe something happened to your project, you lost a particular section, you want to restore it, you can go ahead and click on this, should I call it arrow back button here, to the top right section, sorry, top left section of your screen, near the plus, near where you have plus icon to add a pattern or block. There is arrow left, arrow right. Once you click on that particular arrow left, it will restore your project to, like, let me say, what you did before your image disappeared. If you are making use of a laptop, just click on Ctrl Z, that is Control plus Z. It will restore your project to what you were working on earlier. Jen, have you been able to restore your image? Control plus Z. But if maybe you are working and you mistakenly dragged your image and it shrinked the size of the image, that's not a problem. Maybe the size of your image shrinked by mistake, or your section shrink by mistake, and you don't know what you do. What you go ahead and do is save your project and refresh the page. That is, if what you did is to shrink the size of your image, and by default, once you shrink the size of an image and you release your mouse, it should restore the image size. But if the image size did not restore, go ahead and click on save and then refresh that particular page. The size of the image will be restored. And if you did Okay, don't worry. I think, okay, you know what? Let me, you can, are you making use of two different devices? Okay, laptop. You are making use of a laptop, right? Then you can share your screen with me, please. Let me see what is wrong. Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up towards your nav bar. Oh, okay. Go back down. I want to see your nav bar. Hmm. But the image was right earlier. The image was correctly placed earlier, right? Click Ctrl Z on your keyboard. Again, again. Okay. Scroll up to your nav bar. Refresh, just refresh your page because I think dragging this image will not work this time. Refresh your page. Just refresh the page. I will guide you through anything you will lose. Just refresh the page. Good. Scroll up. Scroll like towards the nav bar section. Scroll towards the nav bar section. Leave the sorry towards the hero section. Leave the nav bar. Scroll towards the hero section. No, not there. Like scroll down. Just be scrolling down to that hero section, to the section where that image is supposed to be. Click. I can see your mistake. This page is not a column. This page is not currently a column. You know what is going to happen? I think you will have to recreate this particular section. It's not a column. It's not a 2 by 2 column. It's like a single column. It's 100% column, not the 50-50 column we selected that we're working with earlier. You see, we are through with the hero section. So maybe later this evening, or maybe when you are free today, you can go ahead and revisit this particular video, and the last class video will be on your dashboard. You can go ahead and revisit the section where we talked about this particular hero section, and you will take your time and work on it. But you know how to create a 50 by 50 column, right? And you remember what I said because you asked question earlier about how to make the buttons round. You remember what I explained here also, right? Good. So please, later in the day, try and recreate this your hero section. And in the next class, I will particularly call you to show me what you've done, what you did with your hero section. Do you understand? Good, good. So just try, the video will be on your dashboard later. So try as much as possible to go through it so you will be able to correct your hero section properly. So with that being said, any other question? Any other question? So so the next thing I want to do is to add a background color to this our hero section. Sorry, I will first add padding to this our left column so the text and the buttons won't be glued to the wall. So I will add padding to it. That is so there will be a space between. I will add padding to both the left and the right. So this text and this line will separate itself from the wall and our image a bit. And to do that, we already have we already selected the entire 2 by 2 column, but no, we want to just work on this column alone. So I'll go ahead and select parent column here, select parent block column. I'll go ahead and select that particular block column. So I will navigate to this move section and I will scroll down to this padding, left and right padding. I will scroll down to this section and increase it a bit. So once I do that, as you can see, automatically there is now space here and there is also another space to this section. The next thing I'm going to do now is to add a background color to this entire section. Let me still go ahead and select to this entire section. Let me go ahead and select parent column and select parent block columns. So I will go ahead. Let me look for that background color. Okay. So you all remember how to add background colors, right? You all remember how to add background colors, am I right? Okay, good. Okay. To find out the width of this, I'm not just telling you the width of the image, I will tell you the width of this entire image column. So to do that, I will click on this column. So I will go ahead and select parent block column. That is this particular column because currently, column. So as you can see, this our image column is 66.66. To increase the image column, I can just go ahead and just do it 67. That is a whole number. Once I increase this to 67, the remainder of 100, that is 100% minus 67%, the entire remainder will be what this our left column is going to be. Do you understand? Later, I'm going to also increase the height of this image to fill each column. So that's why I'm telling you the size of the column instead of the size of the image itself. Because I can add any image size here and fit it into that column and it will work perfectly. depending on what the image is talking about and the theme of the image. Do you understand? Okay, good. So the next thing what I was doing is trying to add background color to this our entire column section. So I will go ahead and select parent column and also select parent block columns, and then navigate to this moon section, scroll down to background. Under color, I will go, I will go ahead and click on checkers like I told you guys earlier. The same process you went through in adding background to image is the same process you are going to use here. But this time, let me start again so you guys should understand. So the first step we are taking is to click on any empty space in this section. So click, if maybe you selected a text or a section or maybe a block of your of where you clicked. The next thing you are going to do is on these options, look for this particular tab on the options display. The tab um on when you navigate to that particular tab is going to display for you a text that reads select parent block column. You click on it and then navigate to that same block, but this time it's going to show you select parent block columns. You click on it, so it will select the entire section. So you navigate to that background again, color, click on these checkers, then you add the color hex that you want this background to be like, or you drag and drop, you drag to the platelet to what you want the color to look like. I already have a color hex, kind of light green, which is this. So as you can see, give me a minute, please. Sorry, I received a call. So as you can see, this entire section, the background color changed to this light green color we're working with. You guys understand? Good. So I was turning off the caption for a minute there. So though this entire section background changed, that's not entirely what I want to do here, because I also want to match this particular image. So the height of this image would be, would match the height of this our section as well. To do that, I click on an empty space on the image, Like I told you guys in the last class about when you click on an image, it will display these circles for you. So the next thing I'm going to do is to drag on one of those circles to increase the width of the height of that image. So I would click and drag on this down image. That is to increase the height. So this is what we have right now. Sorry, I forgot to delete this section I added earlier. Let me go ahead and delete this section. It's no longer needed. It has served its purpose. It's no longer needed for this class. So the next thing we are going to do, hope you guys understood how this particular column worked, how we created it and edited and styled it to what we have right now. Hope you guys understood it to this particular extent, because at this point in time, at this particular time, we are done with this hero section. Do you guys understand? Any questions? Any questions? So the next thing on our agenda, sorry, I have to delete some things I've added earlier. So the next thing is to add our simple explanatory section. Please, if you've done up to this extent, go ahead and save your project. And please, for Jane and others that have similar issues with this particular navbar section, please, in our next class, okay, I have 2 persons that have asked that had issues relating to this navbar. I think Kamsi Ochukwu, you had an issue with your image, right? Kamsi, thumbs up if I'm right. You had an issue earlier with your image. So for those that have an issue with this particular hero section, please make sure you watch this particular video, especially this class and the previous class, that is the class we had on Friday. Make sure you watch the video at least today and correct your hero section. The last class and this last class, it will guide through correcting this particular. Please, my network disconnected for a minute. Can you see my screen now? Okay. So endeavor to watch the video of the last class and this particular class if you have an issue with this particular hero section. So with that being said, let's just create our should I say our skeleton for the next section. And to create the skeleton, oh, there is something I did earlier. While adding the padding to this section, I selected the entire the both columns, I shouldn't have done that because I still want this image section to exist freely without the colon. So I'm going to try to restyle the this section now. So I will scroll down to should be padding, but eh, there is a padding here. I think it's not currently showing itself, but okay. Let me try something else to see. Okay, okay, no problem. Okay. It's appearing right, just that on smaller display, it's appeared a bit messy. So that was the issue I was having. So to create our skeleton for the next section, I will click on these empty spaces and then click enter on my keyboard. When I do that, it will create this new block for me outside this our existing column. It will create this new block for me. So this time around, I'm going to be also working with a 2 by 2 column. I'm going to be also working with a 2 by 2 column, but not 50-50. Like I told you guys earlier, there are two types of two side by side columns that are not 50-50. So we select columns. We have 3366 and 6633. We are still working with 3366 because our text will also be on the right, and the new image we are going to add will be by the sorry, our text will be by the left and the image will be by the right. So I'll select this column and then go ahead and save our project. So if you have any questions based off of this class, based on what we did for this particular section, please go ahead and ask your question. Just raise your hand. I will unmute you to ask your question. Please raise your hand and I will mute you to ask your question. So that is to say, so far so good. Everyone understood what we did in this class. So far so good. Everyone understood what we did in this class. Am I right? Thumbs up if you understood what you did in this class, or if you understand what we've been doing so far. Good. And how many persons followed me to this particular stage that we are currently at? Okay. For Jane and Ikechukwu, please, you guys should make sure you join our next class at least 5 minutes earlier. So I will go through what you've done and make sure your project is up to date. And also, in our next class, we'll be completing this homepage. We are going to be as fast as possible. Like so far, we've been going at a slow pace because we've been trying to like So I believe that as far as we finish these sections and you guys understood it to this point, no matter how fast I will be going in our next class, you guys would be able to follow perfectly. So in our next class, we would go as fast as possible. So we would finish this particular page. Do you guys understand? Am I clear? Good, good. With that being said, I believe we've come to the end of our class for today. Unless anyone have a question. If you have any question for me, you can raise your hand. I will tackle the question before I end the class. Any questions? So that is to say everyone understood what we did in this class, both the start section, adding text to image and everything. You guys understood everything perfectly, right? Good. So with that being said, we've come to the end of our class for today. You guys can have a nice day. You are free to leave the class. You're welcome, Jen. You're welcome. So, Jen, please try and watch the videos I told you to watch. That is the last class and this particular class. This class will be available on your dashboard in about 2 hours from now. So please try and watch the video. You get good. So in the next class, I would like to see what you've done. Have a nice day, Jen. Bye. 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 Thank you. Bye.